Good morning, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you for joining one more time as we are about to discuss a very important topical matter. Now, this morning, we are still on the subject of Haiti and this what you call it now, humanitarian crisis that is bedeviling the country, the island of Haiti. And we should all be concerned whether or not we live in the Caribbean or we live in North America or we just live in any part of the world, because we understand that this is a freedom versus slavery campaign. And this will determine this war, among other wars in the Gaza Strip and many other wars that are being waged, whether we are freedom-loving people or we love wars, and wars will lead us into slavery, right? Because, I think the founding fathers, one of the founding fathers of the United States, probably more than one, suggested that the greatest enemy that America can ever have, is the whole concept of wars. Wars always lead us into slavery, because when you look behind the scenes, a lot of times wars are profitable, right? And they make a lot of money for the elite classes of people who live in your countries. This morning when I woke up, there was I presume that it's a Haitian uh, commentator, somebody who had left some comments about what is happening in the Dominican Republic with the protest that they had yesterday in here in Santo Domingo. And he was saying that the Dominican politicians have been paid off to have Haitian refugee camps in the DR. I am not sure about that. I cannot speak to that matter because I do not have any evidence to suggest that the Dominican government is being paid to host the Haitian refugees when they come here. I know that it is a UN policy that all countries will or should accept all Haitian refugees. And I would think, knowing how our politicians behave and knowing how they are very hypocritical and they are double-faced and they tend not to work in the interest of their citizens, I would not be surprised if most of our politicians around the world have accepted bribes, right, to be able to do that. Remember now, let's be real, that the Kenyan government did accept bribes to send its multinational security forces to Haiti, even though they have not yet been sent, but the US bribed the Kenyan government to do so. Remember now that the Constitutional Court in Kenya has decided that it is illegal to send Kenyan forces to Haiti because Haiti does not have a functional government, right? They do not have a legal government, and therefore they are not binding to send troops there, right? So the fact of the matter is that the United States says, okay, well, they don't want to do it, or the Constitutional Court, the Kenyan Constitutional Court was objecting, was refused, right, to send the troops, and we have to bribe the government. And it seemed that that was so, or that has already been done. We do not know when the Kenyan troops will eventually arrive, but we know that eventually they will, because in Haiti, it's right now extremely chaotic. Now, this morning I woke up and I saw this article, this editorial in the Gleaner. And the Gleaner, of course, which is really working for the Jamaican oligarchy, right? The very minute wealthy class in Jamaica, because it's all about business. And I hope you understand that. Has to do, everything is business related, right? Even the sale of human soul or human lives, right, is really a business. And we've got to really understand that. Now, let me open up this editorial from the Gleaner this morning and for you to see what I am talking about. So here we see editorial, Haitian children only the start, right? So it means therefore that the Gleaner here is implying that many more Haitians are going to arrive on the shores of Jamaica. Now look at this picture, wow, of these 59 Haitian orphans, disabled, all of them disabled, who have been sent to the island. And I think that they are being housed by the Mustard Seed communities in Kingston. So Jamaica's decision to allow the mustard seed communities to take 59 disabled Haitian children and their minders into its care, I should say minors, it's minors, into its care is a positive development in the wake of the government's hitherto haphazard application of its refugee policy. So it means, therefore, that the Gleaner is very happy that they have decided to do so. Hopefully, the decision marks a shift to a principled treatment of Haitian asylum seekers, which should begin with giving the children indefinite residency in the island with a clear track to citizenship instead of the initial 3-year stay they were granted. So the Gleaner is definitely encouraging the government to ensure now that the Haitians are taken care of. Now, listen to, the mustard seed communities is a charity organization that has been founded by the Roman Catholic Church, right? So we hear founded by Roman Catholic priest, Monsignor Gregory Ramkinson. The Mustard Seed Communities is an international organization operating in the global south that provides care to people with disabilities. It has several homes, including for children in Jamaica. Now, we have here also that there is another charitable organization that is also participating in these disabled children being sent to Jamaica. We call them Haiti children. And this, I understand, is operated by an American who lives in Arizona. Can't remember her name, but indeed, during the period before they left for Jamaica last week, some wards at the Haiti Children Home died for want of medical care, in part because of the collapse of Haiti's already weak medical services. Further, on the day the children were leaving the Haiti Children Facility, they were threatened by gangs who shook down their caregivers for all the money they had. What a catastrophe that is. So gangs have killed nearly 5,000 people and caused the displacement of more than 300,000 others. Over 1 million Haitians, or about 9% of the population, are on the brink of starvation or are food insecure. I think there are more, but the Gleaner is underestimating the number. But that is, even if it's just 1 million, it's a lot of people who are starving, right? And this is happening in the Caribbean region where people have a lot of farms and food, even though we're poor, but we're not that poor, right? We shouldn't have Haitians, dying of hunger and suffering from starvation when, for example, the DR, perhaps Jamaica, could get some food to these people. But they're suggesting that the gangs are preventing them from doing so. And who controls the gangs? That is the question. Who controls the gangs? And the Gleaner, the editor, has not contextualized what really is happening in terms of the gangs. Now, what I found interesting was the mention of the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Bruce Golding. And they mentioned, the Gleaner, indeed, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is part of a regional and international efforts to mobilize a policing group to stabilize Haiti's security situation. A former Jamaican Prime Minister, Bruce Golding, is part of the Caribbean Community Eminent Persons Group that helped craft the interim power sharing strategy to which most Haiti political groups have signed up. So when I read this, I said, oh, former not PJ Patterson, but Bruce Golding, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, and that he was a part of this group called the Eminent Persons Group. I said, who are these people? The EPG group. So I went online and I came up with this from the Loop online paper. It's also an online newspaper from Jamaica. Let me see if I could increase the font of this newspaper. Right, so the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, Eminent Persons Group, right, of which the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Bruce Golding, is a part, has left Haiti indicating that consensus had been reached on several aspects of the draft framework agreement intended to provide a transitional government or governance arrangement to take the troubled French-speaking CARICOM country to free and fair elections. And this article, by the way, was written, let me see here, sometimes last year, right? So this was not a very recent peace. The EPG, led by former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Dr. Kenny Anthony, and includes the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Bruce Golding, and his former Bahamian counterpart, Perry Christie, left Port-au-Prince on Wednesday after a week of intense negotiations between Haitian stakeholders on the framework agreement. One of the things that is very interesting is that when I read this, it reminds me of, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, and, Bill Clinton after the catastrophic earthquake in Louisiana in 2005, right? These former presidents of the United States and how they were trying to collect money, right? And to invest in the development of Louisiana. No, it wasn't an earthquake, it was actually Hurricane Katrina, right? I beg your pardon. That was Hurricane Katrina that happened in 2005 in Louisiana. Now, that was something interesting, and I'm seeing the same things, being done here with Haiti. All of these former prime ministers, or the current, well, there's one current prime minister, the current prime minister of St. Lucia, no, he's also former. So all of them seems to be former prime ministers, right? So the former prime minister of St. Lucia, Dr. Kenny Anthony, and we also have the former prime minister of Jamaica, and also a former prime minister of Bahamas, Perry Christie. So the EPG members had paid their third visit to Haiti during the period, November 8 to 14, holding discussions with the various stakeholders with a view to finding a political compromise aimed at stabilizing the country and promoting a democratic transition, right? So we're still hearing those words, democratic. Everything has to be democratic, right? Because democracy is the game, right? Democracy is the end game. It's the objective of the US empire. Fascinating, isn't it? And something that we need to reflect on. But I think Jamaicans need to begin to reflect and to think about carefully and cautiously what the Jamaican Prime Minister and the elites, the Jamaican elites, are doing. I think our Jamaican elites are repulsed by the large, poor Black masses on the island. I don't think that they are particularly impressed with living with us. In the same manner in which the Haitian elites, the light-skinned Haitian elites and some of the white Haitians, they also, what you call whites, but European Haitians, whatever you want to call them, that they are not so much, comfortable in living with the Haitian Black masses. We've got to really understand that the elites are against us, and they're not about protecting the interests of our national sovereignty, whether it be Haitian sovereignty or Jamaican sovereignty or Dominican sovereignty. We've got to understand that. So oftentimes when we say we're talking about a particular country, we think of the people. Yes, and that should be the normal thing if we think we're living in democracies, but we're not living in democracies. We're living in oligarchies. And we've got to understand that where the plutocrats actually control everything, and everything is a business. Everything is a business, including, could be, I'm not sure, but the children who have been taken from Haiti to Jamaica, even though we should be happy that they, for now, are in safekeeping, but we don't know if this too is a grand business, right? We just don't know. Who is funding well, they say that it's a what you call it now, the Catholic charity. This is a charitable organization that is run and operated by the Catholic Church. But we still have to know who are funding them, right? Because the fact of the matter is that this can't be free. They had to be transported from Haiti to Jamaica, and they have to be taken care of. Now, we're living in a situation where Jamaica has not developed its economy, and I've been saying this, and they need to be able to understand that we cannot take lots of people when we can't feed our own people, because charity begins first at home, right? You cannot take in people into your homes if you don't have any food, right? You have to have enough food for you to share with others. And I'm very, very happy that we could be doing the little that we are doing. But based on what the Gleaner is saying, it seems like this has opened up a can of worms in which many other Haitians are expected to arrive in Jamaica. And I did say to some of my friends when the first batch arrived sometime, was it last year or this year, and they were sent back, I said, this is just a trial and error to see how Jamaicans would have responded, because in the future, you're going to have loads more coming back to the island. That was just a testing ground to see how Jamaicans would have responded. And the leaders, the Jamaican politicians, were playing a game here because they knew that they had already signed agreements, secret agreements, in which we had no other choice but to accept Haitian refugees. And we've got to understand that. Did the Jamaican government, along with other government officials of other countries, sign secret agreements with the United Nations and the United States and the core group to have all these countries accept hundreds of thousands of Haitian refugees into our countries, our respective countries? I think these are questions that need to be asked. The problem is that there is no journalism. Journalism has died, right? We are not seeing the sort of journalism that we were accustomed to pre-pandemic and perhaps before, right? We're not seeing that. And because of that, we are left in the dark. We really do not know what is happening. We're just seeing images of things, like the disabled children. Of course, we need to show sympathy. We need to show empathy, because it could have been you and it could have been me, right? So we've always got to say that. We've always got to put ourselves in each other's position. But I thought of sharing this with you because I need to keep you abreast of what is happening in the world, right? Because we say that there is a dearth of good journalism that exists in our world. But let me just say this here categorically speaking, that I am not against Haitian refugees, because I understand that the normal Haitian, the Haitian on the ground, is not responsible for what leaders and the elites, the Haitian elites and the Haitian politicians, along with the international elites and their politicians, are concocting and are, it, creating down there, right? Because we understand that Haiti is a proud country, is a noble country, is a country of distant noblesse. What I'm suggesting on this channel is that we have to also have an open discussion about what are the efforts, what are the plans in terms of the economic, financial plans to be able to take care of these refugees who will be going to these various countries. Have the United Nations and the United States and the core group given monies to these countries so that these people can be taken care of? Or are normal people, do we have to pay through our tax dollars to take care of the Haitian refugees? And the question is, who created the disaster in Haiti? Because this disaster is man-made. It is not a natural disaster. This is a man-made disaster, which means, therefore, that it can be solved by men, right? And I think the first one is to allow the Haitians to run their country, to govern themselves. And if they request any sort of, what should I say now, assistance, then they will ask for it. But we know that a lot of these international organizations are corrupt entities, including the United Nations, right? And we have been seeing it. I don't think this now is something that is in the secret. The United Nations is showing its true color, and it wants to create mess, and then it will ask you and I as citizens, as normal, regular citizens, to clean up the mess. And one of the things that is very, very sad about that is that it costs a lot when we have to clean up that mess, because it's a huge mess and it stinks to the high heavens. Thank you so much for joining. Please be reminded to like and to share and to subscribe and to leave a thoughtful comment. right? So that our community can grow. You need to like up the videos. Make sure you hit the like button so that the videos can be shared and that our community can be expanded.